Paul from Model Boat Builders. Haven't been on for a while, and just had a bit of a break and putting some stuff together for this super yacht, the Lonian. Okay, so far I've got the hull, which I'll show you in a moment. It's been shaped with polystyrene. It's only 3mm polystyrene, so very, very thin, very flexible, which is good because you just heat it up and go around the bends, and I think I've told you that before. But the experimental side of it, this one's going to be my first one to fiberglass. So there's so many different methods. There's a lot of complex methods where you've got your hardeners and your thinners, and then you've got your epoxy resins, and a lot of them are so complicated and very expensive. The method I've come up with is quite simple, and I've watched a guy build a kayak. So what he did, he used the polystyrene, and he used the thick polystyrene, but of course if you put epoxy resin on polystyrene, you tend to melt. It will decrease the velocity of the foam. So of course you have to come up with a method that to cover it. So what they've come up with is a newspaper or paper covering, and this is what I've done with this super yacht. I've covered it, and I can just show you part of it now, because I'm into the intricate parts now. So this is the hull, as you see. Okay, now if we're looking at the hull, the bottom of the hull, and I'll just turn it over for you. I've got to be very careful because it's hardened up quite a bit, but not as good as I wanted at this stage. So what I've done, just to show you, I've used a newspaper here on the base, and then I've used a normal bond paper which you would use in a photocopier. Now that has strengthened it up quite a lot. You could push your finger into that and mark it quite easy before. So what I've done is only one coat, but I'm going to, because it crinkles, of course, once you put your fiberglass over it, which I'm only using a 0.6, if I can get it, a 0.6 fiberglass. So I could probably get away with lightly sanding the creases. The bond papers come up a little bit better than the newspaper, so that's what I wanted to do. It's all trial and error, so I've never fiberglassed one of these vessels before. So I used the newspaper, which crinkled up, and I thought it might, because the quality of newspaper, of course, in this day and age is just very, very thin. There's not much to it, and plus you've got the ink print and everything else, which just weakens the density of the paper. So as you can see there, that's what I've done. And back along this section here, just excuse the camera bouncing around, this is bond paper. So you can see how a lot smoother the bond paper is. Okay, now I'm going to put 2 coats on that, but I might, you've got a couple of little bumps here and there, which shouldn't really matter once you start putting your fiberglass on top, as I've seen before. Because the fiberglass is a weave, all these little knickknacks in here and the little bumps will just shrink back into the fiberglass, and of course when you put the epoxy resin on top, it fills all those little holes. But I don't want to take any chances, because of course once you do this, if you don't do it right, you're going to finish up sanding forever to try and get a nice smooth surface. Now what I've also done in trial and error at the moment is that, of course, it covers up all the portholes. So I'm at the moment, and delicately, very delicate, with my knife, a brand new blade. I've changed the knife because of course I've been using this for a few weeks now with the blade, and I do like to change them. So what I'm in the midst at the moment is cutting them, as you can see, folding them back, and then re-gluing them. Now the method that they have used on the kayak is is by using it. I use a Selleys Aquadair. Now in the building trade it's just called a PVA. It's a wood glue. You can water it down, which gives you that nice finish on the hull, and it's very easy. It doesn't dry too quick. You leave it overnight, of course, but once you get that nice smooth finish there, it's going to be a lot easier to put the fiberglass sheeting over the top. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, and to get those little portholes back, you cut them, and of course I just use a brush, normal brush, or hardener brush, and you just wet it on both sides, and you can use your fingers too, and I just finger it in and hold it in position a couple of seconds, and it just stays there. It's like making paper mache. If you ever made paper mache as a kid, it's exactly the same method. If you've ever made the small, which I've done, the small models, the people, and I've used paper with that, and you just crunch it up, use PVA, and that it's always good for moulding. So I've used that method as well. Couple of things what I've done so far, just to try, is that I've done one side with a polyurethane, just a polyurethane, and a hardener, of course, and that was done last night. Now it's probably hard for you to see that, but of course if you look at the shape, you can see if you do one side what happens to it. It'll bow up, so you've actually got to do two sides at the same time if you can. Alright, so I've still got to line the inside of the hull with paper, and I'll probably only use a polystyrene. I'll only use a epoxy resin with a hardener on the inside. I'll probably put just sheets of fiberglass just to give that extra strength. But on the outside of a hull, I've noticed on YouTube, when they've only used one layer of 0.6 grade fiberglass sheeting, it is really strong. You won't bend it at all. But I just wanted to try two methods. Now what I've done is, sitting outside at the moment, is that I've done and I'll just show you what I'm using so it doesn't confuse people. It's a fiberglass resin that I'm currently using. Some call it a polyurethane. It's a Pro-Tite, and that's it there, fiberglass resin, and that's what it is there. So it gives you your shine at the same time with the hardener. Very smelly, so you've got to have plenty of ventilation. Now what I've done is that I've coated a piece like this and it's outside, and I thought, well, I'll just trial and error, and I've sprayed it this morning. I had two coats. First coat I just very lightly sanded, because I want to see what the finish is going to be like if I can get away with doing another boat some other time, just by using a fiberglass resin over the top of the foam without using the fiberglass, because it is very strong. There's no doubt about it. It stiffens right up, and good enough for a model boat. And I've sprayed it, and I've actually sprayed it black, so it's the worst colour you can ever spray if you're looking for faults. When I sprayed it outside before, I was shocked. It's just come up like glass. So I'm hoping it's going to dry that way, and then I'll come back in another video and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. But touch wood, so far it just looks like a sheet of glass in black. So hopefully it'll go to the fiberglass resin and stick, and we'll take it from there. So that's what I said. At the moment I'm very busy cutting out all the holes, all the cabins, and then I'll put another coat of white bond paper. So I'm only using A4, which is perfect for this because it's the size of it. It's just perfect for A4s. The bottom of the hull is about the same size as an A4 sheet of paper, so it's perfect. I don't have to start cutting. I'll just fold it, glue it, and once I start putting another sheet on there, it'll strengthen it completely. So that's what I'm up to at this stage. And yeah, and the reason why I haven't been on is that I've just been trying different methods, looking at different ideas, trying to reshape. I've sanded this hull completely, only 4 days ago. I've sanded it to try and get the shapes right, which it's come up okay. Once I glass it, I think I'll get the real shape, and I want that glass finish. That's what I'm after. The other vessel that I did, the other super yacht, which is over here, I did a final coat on that, and it's like glass. I'm very happy with the finish on that one, but this one is, I'm hoping, is going to be absolutely spot on, like a proper yacht. So keep my fingers crossed. So I'm just taking my time with it. It's slowed down quite a bit, but we're still in lockdown. But as you can see, that's what she's looking like at the moment. And there, see, you can see I'm starting to cut out all the cabins. That's going to be the tricky part. Also, when I'm starting to glass it, I won't show you now, but I've done the aft, I've done the stern, the rooms, I've done the swimming pool, I've done the little cubicles, the little benches, I've done the stairs. So the stern is just about ready to put together. I've drilled, I've worked out my rudder system, which again, as you can see, I had to strengthen up the rudders, so I've made my own rudders, and again, I won't be able to bend that at all, and that is exactly the same as that. As you can see, it'll just snap. The other type that I've used is this. That's the other type of polystyrene. And you can see how much you can get a bend in that. So if you heat that up, you'll get just about 180 degrees. Some people use a heat gun. I found it too much, so I use a hairdryer on medium, and I just heat it up, and then I can actually bend it into a shape, even with your fingers like that. So you'll get good shape when you start modelling and doing the next deck, because they're all different round shapes, odd shapes. So, and that's what I've done with the rudder. I've made the shape. I've put 2 coats of the fiberglass resin, and that's all I've used, with a hardener on top of that, and it's like rock. You can't bend it at all. So that is strong enough. And all I'm going to do with this one now is just give it a light sand, and they're ready for painting. So all the holes are in there. The shaft holes are ready for the motors. I've done that. I'm going to try a couple of smaller motors. I've got a couple of 6-volt motors. I don't need it to go fast. It's a super yacht, so I don't want it to go too fast. It's not a speedboat. But 2 motors on this should be sufficient. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Alright, so I won't carry on for now. I'll get back into it today, because it looks like rain outside, so there's nothing to do out there. And we'll see how we go, and I'll keep you in touch. Stay safe, and God bless, and look after yourselves. Cheers for now. Bye bye.